topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Barry G. Fowler, EA, brings you Tax Talk for You right here on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. As an enrolled agent and a national leader in tax resolution, as well as trucker, bookkeeping, and tax planning with over 30 years of experience, Barry will break down taxes, bookkeeping, tax planning, and tax relief for individuals and businesses just like you. So let's have some Tax Talk for You with your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Well, good morning and welcome back. It's just another great day out here. We're talking about bookkeeping and taxes today. We're going to be hitting for truckers, self-employed, information that you need to make sure that your business and you're running it right, you're tracking your expenses so that you get the most out of your deductions. We talk about trucker taxes, trucker bookkeeping. I do a lot of presentations with OOIDA, Owner Operator Independent Drivers Association. We get out to Mid-American Trucking Show and other truck shows, as well as other self-employed business shows. And I also write for Landline Magazine. See a lot of my articles in there. So we really enjoy working with truckers. Hey, a good friend of mine, Dave Gore, he runs keepingitcountrylive.com. Hey, come up with a nice little theme song for us. We're going to play this for you because I enjoyed it. I think Dave Gore is one of the great people out there. Listen to his station, but here's a great tune he put together for us. So hold on and listen here real quick.
If the tax monkey's on your back and your paperwork piles up too, when you don't have time to sort it all out and you don't know what to do, call Trucker Tax Tools. They'll handle it all for you. From taxes to bookkeeping, that's just what they do. They specialize in trucking, and they're always there for you. Trucker Tax Tools. All Trucker Tax Tools.
Hey, now, did you like the song? Connect with us at taxtalk4u.com. Subscribe there. Hey, put your comments in. Let us know how that song is. Or go to Trucker Tax Tools on Facebook and connect with us there. Let us know how you like that song. Dave Gore, again, he's a great man. He's got other jobs, but he goes around the country. He does sing. He's been up in Illinois. He's over in Louisiana. He's going to be running a moonshine event over there. It's going to be the first one in Louisiana. But also connect with him if you love country music. Keepingitcountrylive.com. Connect with him over there. He's a great man, so get out there and do it. But let's get to bookkeeping and taxes. And we talk about bookkeeping and taxes because it's one of the most expensive mistakes you can make, whether you're in trucking, owner operator, self-employed, whether you're a independent contractor, or maybe you are a contractor and you're running your small business. Bookkeeping becomes one of those most important things that you can do, because keeping track of those records and getting all the expenses and everything that you can deduct on your taxes saves you a lot of money. Now, we talk about this at Truck to Success. And I talk about this at some of the other small business events that we go out to talk to owners of small businesses, self-employed people, that the federal tax code is actually 187 times longer than it was just a century ago. And that's according to Walters, Kohler, CCH. They've been analyzing the tax code since 1913. So, it's really amazing to me that in the first 26 years, the federal income tax code grew from only 400 pages to 504. So 26 years, 104 pages. It seems like they do that almost daily now. Now we look at the tax code, and today's tax code, it runs roughly 73,954 pages. That's extremely long. Now, can you imagine doing this yourself and actually knowing what's in those almost 74,000 pages? The question I always have when we talk about this is, how long would it take an average reader just to read the tax code? And that's going to take roughly 14 weeks. 14 weeks. And how do they expect the average person to understand all the items that you can deduct from reading the tax code? It's very complex. It seems easy when you're doing your 1040 and your W-2 employee, but are you getting all the deductions when you're self-employed? Are you making sure you're making everything deductible? And we talk about self-employed owner operators, truck drivers. What is, again, the most expensive mistake that costs you thousands of dollars? And that's, first one is failing to plan. There was a Supreme Court Justice, William H. Rehnquist, and he said, there is nothing wrong with a strategy to avoid the payment of taxes. The Internal Revenue Code does not prevent that. Not in any way, shape, or form. Matter of fact, the Internal Revenue Code lays out the roadmap to save as much money on taxes. I mean, if they wanted it to be simple, and I'm sure there's certain parties out there that think, hey, how much did you make? Send it in, and then we'll give you money back, whatever you deserve. I mean, the government decides you deserve. Well, that's not the way this game is played. The way this is played is to find every deduction you can possibly have to save money on taxes. That's what the Internal Revenue Code is there to do, is to show you how you can save money or get money back from the government. And you got to use that code to your advantage. And so we use tax planning for this. It's the key to your financial defense. It's going to guarantee your results. And that's why we always talk about these things here with the taxes, and why bookkeeping is so important into saving money on the taxes. There's two really main types of taxes. You got your federal and state income taxes, and then you've got your self-employment taxes. Now, you being self-employed, and if this isn't your first rodeo, you've been through this. You've seen what happens when you're doing a Schedule C and you have a net income. You get hit right off the top with self-employment taxes, 15.3%. That's Social Security, and that's Medicare. And so when you're a W-2 employee, you pay half, the employer pays half. But when you're self-employed, you're the employer and the employee, and you get to pay 100%, which is that 15.3%. So saving money, every dollar you save, you're going to save that for 15.3%. So every $100 you save and you're able to deduct, it's going to save you $15.30. So, you've got to find every dollar and make every single dollar that you have a way to save money. Now, there are limits on Social Security. So, this year, your limit and your wage base is going to stop at 168,000. And in 2025, your limit for Social Security is going to go all the way up to 174,900. That's almost, roughly $1,000 increase in tax just on you, because the wage base changed from, the 168 to 174. So again, saving money and finding ways to save money and reduce your net income is extremely important. Now, when we get into Medicare tax, it's 2.9%. It's in that 15.3, but you're going to have that all the way up to whatever you make, and then you're going to add another almost 1%. It's 0.9. If your income, married filing joint, is 250, single 200,000, or married filing separate 125. So you got to keep these things in mind. It becomes extremely important when you're sitting down and looking at how are you going to cut your taxes and save money by reducing your net income. And we're going to tell you a few of the ways that we're going to do this and how we're going to look at your money to save you as much as possible on your Social Security, self-employment taxes, Medicare taxes. That is our goal in doing tax planning and making this the key to your financial defense. We're going to discuss that a little bit more right after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by, as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. If you owe the IRS or are going through an IRS audit, don't go at it alone. Call Taxation Solutions Tax Relief at 888-930-1016. We are your solution for IRS debts, audits, back taxes, garnishments, liens, and levies. Whether you're an individual or business, you need a solution and a strong, aggressive tax resolution. Don't let the IRS walk all over you. Stop the IRS now. Call 888-930-1016 or go to taxationsolutions.net now for a free, no obligation consultation. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. Speaking of taxationsolutions.net, tax relief and audits, I just heard that in this commercial, and I was listening to a program over the weekend, and this guy was talking about audits. Now, audit rates are a little bit higher if you're a Schedule C than if you are a S Corp or a partnership or a multi-member LLC. But audits can be very costly. It can take a lot of your time to deal with it. So, calling, if you do have an audit coming up, getting in touch with Taxation Solutions would be a great way to jump in front of this and let somebody else handle this, because you don't want to be spending days on end going through an IRS audit. So, give them a call. 888-930-1016, 888-930-1016, and let us get started and get in front of this for you. Hey, we're talking, how are we saving money on taxes, and talking about the importance of bookkeeping and what you need to do for bookkeeping, not just as a truck driver, owner, operator, but as a self-employed individual as well. If you're W-2, again, you're just getting your W-2 at the end of the year and you're filling out your tax forms, and bookkeeping isn't important for you unless maybe you're running a side business, and then it becomes important as well. So you definitely want to make sure that you're listening to this program. And if you subscribe to us at Tax Talk for You, you can replay this and catch the information that you may miss as we're going through this. But, we're using the Internal Revenue Code to make sure we find every single deduction, because that's our roadmap to saving money on taxes. But we also categorize things into two types of money. And we're talking spending money pre-tax, before it's got tax, or spending money after tax. Now, when you're W-2, everything you spend is after tax. But when you're self-employed, we are looking for ways to make money that you were spending after taxes to make it pre-tax. So it's a deduction on your tax return, and you're spending it before the government gets to it and taxes it. And, that is very much the way to, saving you money, because you lose every time you spend after-tax dollars that could have been pre-tax. So, not only are we looking, hey, maybe you can earn non-taxable income or shift income to later years, but we're looking at maximizing your deductions and getting all the credits that's out there. And that's why we spend so much time doing tax planning. And that's the time of the year right now to do it. We look at it in April and May, and then we come back and look at it again here starting in November. Tax planning is the key to your financial defense, and it helps you make sure you're not going to lose by spending dollars after tax that should have been pre-tax. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're getting every single deduction that you can possibly have. Now, I just finished doing a seminar for Truck to Success with OIDA Foundation and everything. And they kind of laughed at me because I kept repeating that tax planning is your key to defense, and that you lose every time you spend after-tax dollars that could have been pre-tax. And I tell them all the time, hey, I'm trying to ingrain this in your head so that you're finding ways to make sure that everything you're spending that can be deducted is being deducted. Now, it's election time of the year and everything else. I talk about taxes and what's going to happen in taxes. We don't know what's going to happen after 2025, because depends on who's in office, who's in Congress. The current tax law we run under is set to expire at the end of 2025. And then you're going to see the taxes, the high taxes we had on everybody, back starting in 2026, unless they come in and repass the Trump tax laws. But the current administration says we're going to let those expire and go back to the old law. Trump's coming in saying, hey, we're going to keep these tax laws here and make Social Security non-taxable. So you got to weigh your options on which way we go. And when other people talk about taxes, I'll be honest, most celebrities, love to say everybody should be taxed more, especially the rich, except for them. They want to find everything out. Every politician talks about hating taxes and cutting taxes, but they've never seen a tax that they don't like. And so they're going to devote as much taxes in as possible. Every rich person, every celebrity, every politician, and every smart person does tax planning. You should too. Start doing your planning today. Get your plan in place. So where do we start? We can spend the whole time talking about starting with companies and what kind of corporation should you be, what kind of company structure you should be. Matter of fact, I think that we'll do that, next week, is how each one of the company structures saves you money. So make sure you're subscribed and here every week with us so you can get more information how best to run your business. But today we're going to talk about the bookkeeping aspect of it. How do you find every single deduction? Why is bookkeeping one of the biggest mistakes that not just truckers make, but self-employed people make? Because a lot of times they have very, very bad bookkeeping. They don't want to pay for bookkeeping. Now, if you use truckertaxtools.com, the bookkeeping service there, that is a tax-deductible write-off. And so using a bookkeeping service, it gives you another deduction. But it helps you make sure that you're finding all the deductible expenses that you have. It makes sure that your bookkeeping is complete, because we see a lot of bad bookkeeping that is really incomplete bookkeeping. Bookkeeping that isn't done right. Or maybe you're doing it yourself, or you think you're doing it yourself, and you provide us with round numbers. IRS doesn't like round numbers. $1,000 for this, $15,000 for repairs, $20,000 for fuel. See, all those round numbers don't make sense. We do a little bit of due diligence on it and say, hey, this is wrong. Go back to your bank statements. Go back to your settlement statements. Go back to your expenses. Excuse me. And instead of doing that, you're just going to guess. Well, that sets you up for an audit. That sets you up for trouble. That sets you up for what the IRS is starting to do, and using artificial intelligence to actually look at how you're reporting and compare your numbers to others' numbers so that it makes sense. If your numbers don't jive, guess what? You might have an audit on your hands. Bookkeeping by people that don't know your industry. And truckers are famous for this. I'm going to use somebody local. I'm going to use somebody that is a friend of a friend, but they have no clue what tax deductions truckers, owner-operators should have. They have no idea what kind of deductions roofers should have, or independent contractor. Sorry about that. You need somebody that's in your industry, somebody that knows, somebody that's good at what they do, for you in your industry. And then we see bookkeepers that only care about themselves, their bottom line. They could care less about what they're going to do for you or how they're going to do it. They just want to look good. Sometimes just telling you to go out and spend money, such as buy a new piece of equipment just so that they can take depreciation and make you look good. And you don't need the equipment. So in my book, that is somebody that, only wants to look good in your eyes by making something deductible today that saves you a bunch of money on your taxes, as opposed to helping you run your business and know what's going on in your business. We're going to talk about a little bit of a bookkeeping system, how we keep it simple, and how you can keep it simple and do bookkeeping, for yourself. But if you don't want to go it alone, reach out to truckertaxtools.com. We're here to help you find every deduction in your business and help you keep on the road and not come home and have to do bookkeeping, spend more time with your family. And we're going to be right back talking about how to keep your bookkeeping system simple right after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by, as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for you. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Trucker Tax Tools handles all your bookkeeping and taxes no matter what level trucker you are. Life on the road can be taxing, but that doesn't mean that your wallet or time with your family should suffer. Trucker Tax Tools makes your life run smoothly. Go to truckertaxtools.com for a free guide that will give you the tools to never worry about your taxes again. Call Trucker Tax Tools 877-966-2477 or go to truckertaxtools.com now and let the experts keep you trucking. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, we have a lot of great trucking friends out there on the road, and we appreciate everything that you guys do to keep this country moving. And, you know, sometimes we have good friends that have been in the trucking business a long time, and they run into problems and issues, health. We have a good friend, Bill Weaver, out there that if you got time, you know, take a few moments and say a prayer for him. He's going through some health issues and needs all the prayers that he can get to help him down the road. We just talked to him the other day, and he's got a great attitude and keeps on moving and everything. Hopefully he can, with all of our prayers, join together for him, that maybe he can defeat this that he's going through as well. We're trying to organize some a get together to raise some funds and everything for him. Not sure how that's coming together yet. We'll be in contact and let everybody know, you know, if we can get this in place to help him. But God bless Bill out there. And again, you know, your prayers would be greatly appreciated for him. You know, talking about bookkeeping, we're talking about keeping it simple. You know, kind of the KISS, paraphrase it, keep it simple, stupid. I don't consider anybody to be stupid out there, but we want to keep it very simple, is really what we want to do. So maybe it's keep it simple and smart. You know, save every receipt. You know, so you have documentation out there. I think one of the best things that you can do as well is, you know, go ahead and take a picture of every one of those receipts. Set up a file folder on your phone. You can do that as well, and put those receipts in there by year. You know, a lot of those receipts that you get now at a truck stop or store, Walmart, Walgreens, whatever, wherever you happen to be shopping, fade over a period of time. And if you got pictures of them, then hey, that's great. If we're doing your bookkeeping and we need something, you can also very easily send that to us, you know, via your phone and everything, because, you know, these smartphones are got little mini computers, you know, out there. We won't get started about, you know, hey, the big old bag phones the first time they came out. If you were privileged enough to have one, I think my dad's company, when you know, back when I was 18 or 20, that I guess it would have been late 20s that he had one that his company provided for him. So it wasn't quite as smart as this. It was just a heavy little bag and a phone. But you know, we've come a long way. I said technology today is the first laptop computer I had was a 50-pound compact computer that you had to lug from one place to another. Not the best laptop in the world either. It was a mini desktop, and it didn't do very much. But these smartphones do really good, so you can keep it really simple and take pictures and set up a folder. Make sure you have a separate checking account for your business. Even if you're Schedule C, run a separate account. It makes it simple to account for things, and then run everything through it that is business, nothing personal. If you're a trucker, save your logbook, save your ELD, electronic logs. Get a notebook to carry with you and a receipt envelope. Put those receipts in that envelope. Loans, make sure you get your loan documentation together so that, you know, you can deduct the right amount of interest every year. Equipment purchases, make sure you keep your buyer's order for your equipment purchase. Your tax preparer is going to want it. If he doesn't ask for it or she doesn't ask for it, you're using the wrong person. You want to make sure that, hey, they're looking for every deduction and get the numbers right. Because I guarantee you, you're going to come to me and you're going to say, hey, I bought this truck for $57,000 or $157,000. And that number's not going to be exactly right. You may have bought it for $162,000 after they get done with all the fees, or $172,000 to get done with fees and warranty and stuff. We need to get that information to make sure we get this right. I've seen too many times on a tax return that somebody used an exact round number. We asked for the receipt and we find out, hey, you're missing out on $10,000 and $12,000 of deductions because they didn't record it right. They just took what you remember from 6 or 8 months or 9 months ago to do your tax return. But just because you remember it one way doesn't make it right. Save your records. In case you happen to go through an audit, you need to make sure you have the records saved so that you have the documentation. So here's our example. To have a very simple record keeping procedures as a self-employed owner operator truck driver out there, you buy that expanding folder at the office supply store, along with a stapler, desktop calculator, registered tape. You fill out the pocket labels with various categories and expenses, and income, and maintenance, meals, and equipment, entertainment, settlement statements, and office supplies, and business supplies. And then when you get a receipt, because it's sitting right there in your truck with you, you put it in the corresponding folder. Before you do that, take that mini computer, take that picture, and save that receipt into the right folder. Now, you can set up your folders on your phone, either by month or year. You can actually just put it all in for the 1 year. Sometimes if you do those folders on your phone and do month and year, you're able to find things a little bit quicker than if you're doing it just as amongst all your other pictures that are out there. Sometimes those are going to be a lot harder to find than being able to separate them by your categories. And then you're going to keep those things together, total them up, staple the calculator's registered receipt to it, and then put them back in the same slot. Since they're stapled together, they're not going to get mixed up. They're accounted for. Then you can supplement this by noting your odometer on your truck. So if you're an owner operator, you're not deducting mileage, but it's nice to have how many miles did you drive each month, because you can look at your cost per mile. Now, if you're self-employed, you should have a separate log to log every trip that you make in your personal vehicle. So you're maybe deducting mileage. If you're not deducting mileage and you're taking actual expenses, it's a good way to make sure that you're going to be using the right percentage for your personal vehicle for the actual expenses. Now, if it's 100% used for business, you still need to make sure you're documenting all your mileage so that you have proof that your personal vehicle is being used 100% for business. So we're trying to keep everything very simple for you, and making sure that you've got all the deductions that you have coming to you to save money and get everything on a pre-tax basis. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and right after this break, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about some of the most overlooked truck driver deductions and self-employed deductions that you're going to have while you're on the road, and how making sure that you're getting those is going to save you the most amount of money. We'll be right back after this.
We have only scratched the surface of today's show. Please stand by, as Barry G. Fowler will be right back with Tax Talk for You. As an owner-operator, you already spend too much time away from your family. Stop spending time doing paperwork. Go to truckertaxtools.com, a solution built specifically for truckers. Truckertaxtools.com makes your life run smoothly. Let's get back to Tax Talk for You with more Tax Talk. Once again, here's your host, Barry G. Fowler.
Hey, welcome back. Now, if you're in the trucking industry, make sure you get over to taxtalk4u.com. Subscribe to our podcasts and everything. Share this with your friends and family that are out there on the road with you. So if you see a brother trucker out there at a truck stop, hey, tell them to go to Tax Talk for You so they can stay informed. We're going to be bringing you a lot of information that can help you on the road. Same with if you're self-employed. Subscribe over here at Tax Talk for You because, again, this is going to be applicable to everybody. Today, we're talking a lot about truckers because we just finished Truck to Success seminar, new truckers moving out from being W-2 employees to being out there, owner-operators out on their own by themselves and, making sure that you're finding every deduction. We see this as so important that you as a trucker save as much money as possible. You're so important to the economy and getting supplies, whether you're supplying us out here that need mattresses or food, groceries, fuel, all that you're transporting across the country. But everybody self-employed needs those things too, and everybody self-employed needs to find every single deduction. Again, to make the dollars that you're earning work for you the right way by spending them pre-tax before they get taxed, not after tax. So making sure that they're expense for your business when it applies to your business, because the IRS has certain regulations and we've got to follow that. What's ordinary and necessary in your business. So we're not trying to make your home mortgage a tax deductible event for your business, but we are trying to find every little deduction that is ordinary and necessary and used in your business to be business related. So as a trucker or even as self-employed, your association dues are deductible. Your bank fees, or the fees that the bank charges you, are deductible. Your cell phones and internet plans are deductible. Now, cell phones are one of those special things because you've got to look at it, how much you're using it for personal versus how much you're using for business. Now, if you have a separate cell phone for the business and you use it 100% for business, that's going to be 100% deductible. But if you're using it to, make personal phone calls and everything else out there, then it's got to be weighed. How much do I use it for business? How much do I use it for personal? Is it 80-20? Is it 70-30, 50-50? It really just depends that you're out there. If you're self-employed and you're a trucker, you buy a coffee pot and you use it for your business, yes, it's deductible. Certifications you may need to get are deductible. Your calculator that you purchase for the business is deductible. Cleaning supplies, cleaning your office, cleaning your truck, those things are deductible. If you're driving a truck and you're out in the mountains and you need chains, those are deductible. Envelopes to keep your bookkeeping system going that you have. Staplers, tax and bookkeeping services that you're going to be using are deductible for your business. Make sure you're getting that deducted. License fees. So if you got to have your license or a permit, self-employed contractors, truckers, you all got to have those permits and everything. Those are all deductible. Fire extinguisher, ice scrapers, excise taxes, road atlas. Of course, fuel and truck operating expenses are deductible. Paper, pens, envelopes, insurance, but not your life insurance. So the general liability insurance, your liability insurance on your truck are all deductible out there. Now, if you're making payments on your truck, you got to break those payments down when you're financing it between interest and principal. Principal's not being deducted, but your interest is expensed and deductible. Principal You're not deducting because you're just paying down your loan, and you're deducting the full value of your truck as depreciation. So therefore, the principal part of it is not being deducted. Now, if you're on a lease, so maybe you're on an operating lease, that whole lease amount is deductible. But if you're on a capital lease, then only the interest portion of that is deductible, because it's like financing your truck. You're going to own it at the end. Maintenance and your repairs. Now, when we talk about medical, regular medical expenses aren't deductible, but your DOT, Department of Transportation, medical, physical is deductible. Safety gear, your satellite radio and TV subscriptions that you use in the truck while driving, okay, when you stop, not while you're driving, is deductible. Subscriptions, tolls, parking fees, these are all deductible. And a lot of times these are overlooked. Tools that you're going to be using to repair your truck or maintain your truck. Your travel expenses. So travel expenses, you're going to use some lodging every now and then. Maybe you need to fly somewhere and for business, then your airline is deductible. Maybe you run a corporation, you got to have a corporate meeting, and you're going to have your board of directors out there, and your travel expenses are deductible. Hey, that could be a good way to use some personal travel and business travel, and then we can split that up, and some of it's deductible. Education. So staying informed in your business, how to make yourself better in your business is deductible. Uniforms is deductible. People want to say clothing. Well, if it can be worn to church, if it can be worn and used elsewhere, no, that's not going to be deductible. But if you got to have steel-toe shoes, you're going to have uniforms or a shirt here with your logo on it. Those are going to be deductible for you in your business. Postage, scale fees. So all these things we're looking at are considered to be like ordinary and necessary in your business. And that's what we're always, looking for, is making sure that, hey, this is how we're going to save you money. Now, there are certain expenses out there that we've got to take a harder look at, such as maintenance. Maintenance is deductible. Oil changes, the labor, tires, but an engine overhaul needs to be capitalized and depreciated. So something that makes your truck last longer, adds more useful life to your truck, is going to be capitalized. And there are certain restrictions in doing this. So you got to talk to your tax preparer to make sure that, hey, we're going to be deducting this right. Is this a capitalized improvement of my truck, such as a complete engine replacement, transmission replacement? Or is this general maintenance, such as changing the oil? And there are certain qualifications in this to make sure that you're deducting this right. Is it for the betterment of the unit, restoring the unit, adapting the unit to new or different use? Those are things that are going to be capitalized. And so you want to make sure that you're going through and doing it right. Now, we also need to take a step back and look at personal supplies and expenses. So not all personal supplies are considered tax deductible. In order for personal supplies to be considered tax deductible, they have to be ordinary and necessary for operating your business. Now, some of those, and we already talked about it, is uniforms. But gloves, those can be. Boots, showers. There are a broad range of things that can be, deemed that you're using on the personal side, but also deemed for the business side. Communication devices, such as CB radio, cell phones, internet, your radio, your phone cards. These things can also all be deducted. And the one thing you got to keep in mind is, what is the business use of it? What percentage? We also talk about missing meals and entertainment. So bona fide business meals, meaning you got to have a business discussion. Now, this isn't the same as per diems. This is when you go out to eat with somebody. Are you actually having a business meeting with potential client, potential prospect, somebody you might be getting new loads from, a referral source, somebody that can refer you more loads, or business colleagues? Or maybe you're running this business with your spouse. Is that meal tax deductible? Did you talk about business at that meal? I almost guarantee you did. Because you're running a business together, you're going to have business discussions. Where your next load's going? How much are you making? How much do you make per mile? Are you actually really making money in this business? And so those are discussions that you're going to have. Now, those are 50% deductible, but 50% is better than nothing. Making sure that you're keeping that receipt, right down on that receipt, who, what, where, when, and why, so that you have it documented. We want to make sure that you're taking advantage of every deduction that you have available to you that's allowed by law through the Internal Revenue Code. There's a lot of expenses that, you may not think about when you're running your business as an owner operator, as a self-employed individual, as a contractor, but you've got to, think about that. As a truck driver, one of the great things that we see out there is per diems. Per diems are deductible. So if you're a Schedule C, this is really easy. You keep track of the first night you leave, the nights that you're away from home, overnight away from home, and the night you come back. So the IRS did a great thing. Per diems have increased from $69 all the way to $80. Now it's only 80% deductible, but that's great. And so every night that you're away from home, you get an $80 deduction. The first night's only $40 and the last night's only $40, but all the nights in between are the $80 deduction. It becomes a really big tax deduction, especially if you're out there really hoofing it and you're making good money. And therefore, you can save this right there on your tax return. And it's 80% deductible for 2024, 2025, and going forward. And it means you don't have to save receipts while you're on the road for meals and everything. You can still run it through your business account, but you don't have to be saving every single one of those receipts for meals out there. You do want to make sure that if you're doing a business expense when you're at home and you've gone out with a colleague or your wife, or you're discussing business, you got those and you got that documented. The other thing is making sure that you're keeping track of those nights. The ELD log is really good. Your paper log is really good at doing it, and you'll be able to keep track of it that way. Don't come to me and report that you were on the road 475 days this year. There's only 360 days out there. And that means you never went home, means you really didn't have a home to return to, and you won't have that deductibility, and you're going to have to go to actual. There's a lot of complications in per diem, so make sure you're talking to your tax preparer. Make sure you have a great tax preparer. If you don't, find us at truckertaxtools.com. Let us help you save you money on your taxes, do your bookkeeping, keep you on the straight and narrow so you know what you're going to do. We really enjoy bringing you information how to save money on taxes. Remember, the tax code is really long. Remember how many pages, almost 74,000 pages. Good luck reading it and understanding it. We do that. We do that for you. One simple reminder, if you're going to enter a contract, read your contract. It's not that long. Make sure you're following through with the things that you need to do. Hey, next week, we're going to talk about company structure, how company structure can save you money in taxes. So make sure you subscribe to taxtalk4u.com and be here every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and get the information that you need to save money on taxes. Hey, we'll see you next week. Thank you. God bless. Have a safe week out there.
Are you an individual or business that wants to understand taxes and how they affect you? Are you looking for specific tax advice for self-employed, business owners, and truckers? Are you behind on taxes and your bookkeeping? Are you dealing with the IRS and ready to have some relief? Then you need Tax Talk for You, hosted by tax and trucker expert Barry G. Fowler, EA. Tune in 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Monday right here on W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV. Don't forget to check this and past episodes at taxtalkforyou.com. See you next week at W4CY.com.